Hello to the lovely listeners, and welcome to this episode of the New Story with Rebecca Conran podcast. I'm a life coach, energy healer, and astrologer. And on this podcast, if you're just tuning in, typically I'll talk about the astrology coming in, the energy of the moment, especially to do with transits with astrology. And then I have guests on, like today's lovely Megan Infen, to talk about kind of healing subjects, creative subjects, and how healing and spirituality intersect with all of that. And today, Megan and I are going to talk about the necessity of energy healing. So, welcome to Megan.
Thank you.
Megan is a spiritual sister of mine. We did the same holistic health coaching certification 15 years ago. She's an advanced Eden energy medicine practitioner. She's in Seattle. And she is just an incredible person in my life. She's someone I like to chat about energy and what's going on with it. And I really thought it's important this year because it's so intense. Like the energy of 2026 is so intense that although it's absolutely incredible to work with practitioners, and you should work with practitioners because a lot of times it's hard to see your own stuff. It's sometimes easier for someone else to help guide with that. We should all have some simple energy techniques that we're relying on right now just because we're having to combat so much disruption out in the world. So, welcome, Megan.
Thank you very much. I'm super happy to be here. Happy to see your face.
I
Yeah, I
know.
was thinking about how long we've known each other and just uh our origin of our relationship being little ba baby energy healers running around New York,
I
trying
know.
to stay grounded in a crazy place.
I know. And I always used to say that New York, it's it's not that grounding doesn't exist there because it's actually like built on a bunch of garnet, I think. It's like is the
Hmm.
base of New York. So there is really powerful energy like at the base of it, but it needs to be tapped into with intention. And I think that's kind of what me and Megan want to talk about today is relating to your energy with intention so you can guide it a little bit more at the moment. What's your take? Do you have any hot takes on the energy of 2026 right now? Like what comes to mind? Or are there any patterns you're seeing with your clients that keep coming up?
Yeah, I mean, my hot take is that most people feel like 2026 is hot garbage, right? Um, it's been hard to maintain our grounding, maintain our stability and our vitality. Um, the ongoing theme with clients is dysregulated nervous systems, obviously. Makes a lot of sense, right? Everybody's stressed out. And now we're at the point where I feel like people have been stressed out for so long that it's turning into, unfortunately, almost like an
Chronic.
apathetic, like now they're just giving up and not doing the work and not trying to overcome all the negative energy that's all around us. So, I'm glad to be here to talk about why it's important to keep going and keep working on ourselves despite the world.
Yes. And it kind of fucking sucks that people are doing that. That's my hot take on
Right.
it.
Yeah. I
I
mean, it's
think
like,
I get it. I do get it. I understand. It's hard. It's painful to do like the work it takes to like be a grounded person in this world, but it's not more painful than it is to live in this world, you know? So
right.
it,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's painful and also It's like, what is the alternative? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's the same way I feel about everyone with like all these different sensitivities. Like, yeah, we live in a world that's toxic and the energy sucks. But you have an option. You can live and be like this sensitive person who's afraid to go out into the world, afraid to have a Wi-Fi router in your house, right? Or you can participate in the world because how are you supposed to be a productive human and contribute to society at a time when society needs people at their full power, right?
Yeah.
If you're afraid of everything and letting
Yes.
the world just kind of knock you down.
Yeah. I was really tuning into this because I was in London and London's like, and I had to take like 100 trains. So, and I live on my own and I really love that for me. Um, and so I was really for 48 hours, I was just surrounded by just thousands and thousands of people over and over again. And I was like, I think one of the misconceptions people have is, oh, I'm too sensitive, and that there's a sense of powerlessness around that. Like I'm just too sensitive for the world. And I feel like I'm an extremely sensitive person, but the tools that I use actually ground me and help to dispel that influx of energy coming in and I was noticing on the London Underground, I was like, oh, this is good. You sense something coming in, you start to clear it, you ground yourself. And so I think that people need to start thinking about energy work as it's not really a question of being too sensitive. It's a little bit a question of being too, this is going to be bad, but maybe lazy, you know, maybe
Well,
apathetic.
lazy, or what I find, and this is probably a controversial topic for us to be talking about because these are our people in some ways,
Yeah, of
but
course.
I also find that people wear it as a bit of a badge of honor, that I have all these sensitivities, and maybe in some healing circles, that means that you're really good at empathizing with other people, right? And feeling their energy and being able to sense things about them. And that gives you a little bit of a sense of a power.
Yeah.
And
There can be
also,
that victim mode to it, can't there?
yeah, yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think also just for the most part, people don't realize that they can heal from anything. They can build their resilience and their vitality. They can plug up all those holes in their aura that's causing them to be so sensitive, and they can get themselves grounded. And when you're operating from a grounded place, you can still have sensitivities that allow you to empathize easily with others and all that stuff that's good about it while being protected and being
Yeah.
able to live a normal life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to kind of get back to the beginning of it, but I will just say, like, I think the one thing that I've learned as an energy practitioner is that you just have to get really comfortable with the different sensations sometimes, because sometimes those sensations are very disruptive and they are very uncomfortable in the body. And then as you sort of ground, it could be instantaneous that that thing is just gone, just released. But if you go through it and you're like, I never want to feel this, I never want to be uncomfortable, then it really amplifies anxiety and stress around it is always going to be a little bit uncomfortable. And if you think of like how emotions feel in the body, we say that love feels good in the body, but it still makes you want to puke. Do you know what I mean? It's like the sensation. We've said it's a good sensation, so we're experiencing it as like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
But if we said that's a bad sensation, I'm sure we could actually tap into how that might be true on a sensory level. It's an overload of sensation. So, like, I think one of the things that's really helped me in my own practice is to sort of like let go of the ideas of like this is a good sensation, this is a bad sensation, and start to kind of see it as a field of information that I can work with, you know? Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I think that's a really healthy perspective. I mean, yeah, the truth is we are not here to feel like sunshine and rainbows all of the time, and
Yeah.
that's impossible. So we are here to experience the full spectrum of emotions and to experience pain and experience the lowest of the lows so that we can move forward and that we can raise our frequency from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so from the beginning, no pressure, but how do you personally define what energy healing is? Like what makes sense to you in the way that you speak about it?
Yeah. So the way that I like to talk about it is, I talk about how we all know our physical body has 11 systems. Maybe you didn't know the number, but we all learned in science class that we have a reproductive system and an endocrine system and all of those things. So, your energetic body also has an anatomy with different systems. I work with 9 systems in my practice, and a lot of them people have heard of the chakras, the meridians, the auric field, and there are others that are lesser known. And so, when we talk about getting to the root cause of an issue, because I feel like that's, everybody knows at this point that like pharmaceuticals are not taking care of an issue. They're not healing an issue. They're putting a band-aid on it and masking symptoms, right? So when we want to get to the root cause of an issue, that means we have to work with the energetic anatomy because all illness, all issues, physical, mental, emotional, begin as an energetic imbalance. It lives in the energy body before it manifests into a physical issue. So, doing energy healing addresses the root cause of issues, it heals the root cause of issues, and it just brings the physical body back into its natural state of vitality where, a sickness comes at you and you have a strong enough immune system to thwart it. You have an injury and you can recover very quickly from that injury. You have stress and your nervous system is regulated enough to
Yeah.
not let that stress totally knock you out. So that's what energy healing is about for me.
Mm.
And there are
Yeah.
many different modalities, many different ways of working with those energy systems. But for the most part, I would say most modalities, I don't know if you'll agree with me, are about unlocking stuck energy that can live in the fields and the channels and the points, or adjusting the flow of energy, which
Yeah.
is a lot of what I do. It's like what acupuncturists do, right? Adjust
Yeah.
the flow of energy in the meridians.
And just
So
for the
there's,
listeners, just to remind the listeners that um, Megan is a certified Eden energy practitioner. So it's very much like a proper technique practice that she teaches to others that she's been certified in. It's less like, oh, I just put my hands on you and things. I mean, it is that too, she could put her hands on you and things will start moving. But there is a spiritual science behind it as well.
yeah. And so the program was founded by Donna Eden. If you've not heard of her, she has a great book called Energy Medicine that gives a lot of great techniques that you can do for yourself. And yeah, it covers a lot of different ancient techniques as well as modern techniques that she kind of put under one umbrella.
Yeah.
She's one of the great energy pioneers of the modern age. And I always describe the program as being probably the most thorough and comprehensive because it does address
Yes.
so many different systems. And yeah, it gets really, really specific.
Yeah. I mean, I agree so much with what you're saying about, what energy healing is. And one of the things I've noticed is like, of course, there's the holistic part of things where it's like, yeah, there's lots of stuff that are influencing your energy. Like, your energy is the electrics that are running everything, in and around your body. It's what you're emitting, it's what sort of like your soul is functioning in your body as. And it is a holistic thing when it comes to healing energy because your thoughts matter, your emotions matter in the quality of what your energy is. But because we live in a world with a lot of other people, and now we live in a world with a lot of electrical interference, wavelength interference, there's like whatever the government's doing, which I'm not even gonna get into that, but I'm sure there's a lot of energetic disruption going on there. There's whatever's going on at CERN, where they're like whipping the God particle around and around Switzerland. There's all that shit.
Yep,
And then
splitting
there's
atoms left and right.
yeah, there's Wi-Fi fucking everywhere. There's, everything is running. The computer is talking to the TV, which is all being bounced around off of you too. And I notice very clearly, how it is when you have disrupted energy is it does feel like you feel, oh, I'm frazzled, I'm blah blah blah. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when you have a practice and you clear yourself and you ground yourself and you kind of get back to your core energy, you can be like, oh, actually, that wasn't my core energy. That was something that was influencing it, interfering with it. That's not all the time. It's not like we can't just be like, oh, energy is just coming at me and that's what's to blame all the time. But I think just having a basic practice also helps to, you know, get through that layer of it, which sometimes it is. Sometimes, you might be feeling anxiety, you might be feeling overwhelmed that is coming from the outside in when it comes to energy. And it's not something to like rely on that's always going to be the case, but it is like one mode that we can learn is to like unravel that a little bit so we can kind of check, well, what is me? What really is going on with me underneath it?
For sure. Yes. Yes, having an energetic practice is going to help you understand your energy, what it feels like, what's yours versus not yours. And I think of it as also, I talked a bit about being able to resolve root causes of illness and things like that. But having an energetic practice also is a preventive medicine.
Yeah.
It's keeping your body healthy and vital and resilient so that it can withstand all of the stuff that's happening. It's kind of like going to the gym, right? You
Yeah.
do it not to solve a problem that already exists for the most part. You do it to keep yourself healthy, um, and fit and stable. And in some
Yeah.
ways, that's grounding for people too. So I I want people to also not look at this as something where you seek out an energy healer because you have a major issue. Like in ancient China, Chinese medicine doctors were hired to keep you healthy, right? And
Yes.
when you got sick, you stopped paying your doctor because they failed at their job.
Yeah.
Imagine a system like that. Like we have it a little backwards now. We wait until we get sick to seek out help. So I really urge people to figure out an energetic practice for themselves, whether that means finding protocols to do on themselves or seeking out a practitioner, because there's so much that you can be doing to keep your energy balanced,
Yeah.
um, so
Yeah.
that it doesn't end up as a serious issue down the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. And I think when people think about it or tune into it, sometimes they get really overwhelmed because like, I talk about this on the podcast a lot. Like the perfectionist of like, oh, I've got to go and do it for an hour and that's not really, if you could give yourself, a few minutes at the beginning of the day, a few minutes at the end of the day, a few minutes whenever something starts to sort of rise in you to ground yourself, it's more the consistency and the regularity and training yourself to like choose it as an option than it
Mhm.
is to do the big ticket event things, of like, oh, I've got to study all the books and know everything about this. It's so much more, healing really happens when you really simplify it and you have good regularity with it. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to meditate on a cushion for an hour every day. If you could just take some deep breaths throughout the day, 3 or 4 deep breaths through the day when it pops into your mind, you'll get a lot more out of that than trying to reserve all this time and space for it. It should be something that we just kind of naturally pull into. But I'm curious, like, what led you? What's your origin story when it comes to energy healing? What led you to become a practitioner of it?
Yeah, my superhero origin story.
Yeah, the legend of
Yeah.
Meggers.
So I always feel like it happened pretty organically. We knew each other in sort of the health coaching world. I got to that world because I was a depressed, party girl in my
Yes.
20s.
Whoop
And I
whoop, we
had,
love it.
we've all been there.
Yeah.
Um, and I, at a certain point, hit a rock bottom, had a spiritual awakening, and I started working on myself because the other option was to not be living anymore.
Yeah.
And so the first step was finding a health coach, and that inspired me, and I made so much progress. And so I became a health coach. And as you know, because feel like your career did a similar trajectory. There's a lot that
Absolutely.
can be accomplished with
Yeah.
holistic health coaching, and it doesn't get to everything,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't solve everything. So that's when I became curious about energy healing, and I started doing Reiki, and that was awesome. It taught me how to start feeling energy and becoming sensitive to it. And then I just became like voracious about it. I was like, this is so cool. And this feels like just the beginning to me. So I just started consuming as much information as I could about energy healing. And that's when I have this very vivid memory of being in a bookstore in Brooklyn and Donna Eden's book like jumping off the shelf at me. So obviously,
I
the
have this
rest is
book, big
history.
recommend to everybody. Huge
Yeah.
recommend of just having that book too.
Yeah, it's such a good resource to go back to. So many different great protocols for every kind of issue you can think of. So yeah, it kind of went from there. I did all 4 years of her program after I went to one of her seminars. Just I was hooked in. And now that's primarily what I practice and sort of how I promote myself, though I am a forever student and will continue to learn and grow my practice and just get as many tools in my toolbox as I possibly can to help people. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean that's pretty much exactly what my story was too.
Yeah.
And Meg and I went to the same school. And I had a coach too. And I think it makes you such a good practitioner when you've actually been the client for a number of years. And that's kind of what leads you down the path of like, you do it for yourself, you put in the work, you kind of understand it. You didn't just one day go, you know what, I want to be a coach or something. You were like, I needed it. I've seen how things work. And then it's like you become such a good example for people who are similar to you, who have similar life paths. It's funny because you know how I got into Reiki, Megan? Have I ever told you?
I don't know. I don't remember.
So I didn't know jack shit about energy healing, and I went to health coach. I was always really skeptical about anything spiritual.
Yeah.
That probably sounds so funny to people now, but I was like huge skeptic. I'd gone from someone who was like in my childhood, like that's demonic to like that's so pagan to someone who like took these baby steps to kind of open myself up to health and wellness. And so I did my health coaching stuff, but something else was like missing, and so how it played out for me is I had an energy healing session with somebody and it was remote, which is how you practice too, and I practice. It's an amazing thing, but it's hard for people to wrap their head around. Like, how can you do energy healing on someone you're not with? And I had some really profound experiences with my practitioner. And then there was like this series of, I just kept being the first responder to people who have been hit by cars. Like this happened 3 times. And so the final time, I'm like holding this bicyclist who's been hit by a car. And I got up from the person when the paramedics arrived. And it was like all the life drained out of me. It's like I just felt all my energy drain out of me. And these hot firemen actually put me in their fireman truck so I could sit and have a glass of water, which was a plus from the whole
Yeah.
situation. But then as I was walking home, my energy healer called me and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so drained. And she was like, you know what? I think that maybe my certification, you should come to my certification. And there were only like 3 or 4 other people in the class. It was really small. It was out on Long Island. And that's really like what started it. So I feel like there are signs for people too, of where you are doing something hands-on even, like people notice that you have a strong energy. But it's so important to learn how to like conduct that, or you can get really drained, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I seem to remember you being a first responder at least one time
Yeah.
when we were in New York. That is so crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, in New York, like people are always getting knocked over. So it's maybe not as bizarre as it would be in like
true,
a small town.
true.
What do you say to people that are skeptical about energy healing? Like, how do you kind of, I don't know, talk to them
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to say is that people who are skeptical about this, I feel like for the most part, are just kind of following public opinion and have
Mm.
done zero research on their own, right?
Yeah.
The second thing I feel about it is that I feel sad that it's like they're living in a black and white world when we're living in a technicolor world.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I just feel sad that their worldview is so small and that they have um, these beliefs that are holding them back from what could be a much fuller, richer, healthier life.
Yeah.
Um, but then I start to talk about, there's a lot of research that proves the efficacy of Reiki and acupuncture and even the power of intention.
Mm.
There's so much research that's gone into, for example, the placebo effect. What's the placebo effect? It's people healing just because they think they're getting something that's healing, even though that substance has nothing of potency in it, right?
People
So
always talk shit about the placebo effect too. And it's like, if people are getting better, like,
they act
why
like
are
it's a
you
bad
shitting on
thing,
it?
but the people are healing,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Yeah. So there's great studies from Dr. Valerie Hunt. She started in I think the 70s at UCLA, measuring auras, measuring chakras, measuring how energy moves through meridians when you stimulate acupuncture points. And she was the first actually to show that when there's a fluctuation in the frequency of the auric field, then that is followed by some type of a negative health diagnosis, right?
Yeah.
So she did great work. It's all out there, it's all available, right? And even if you look at some of our, what we would consider probably our greatest scientific minds of modern history, like Einstein, Nikola Tesla,
Yeah.
uh, Bohr, like all of these quantum physicists, they were way into energy healing.
Yeah.
Um, Tesla actually had, I just learned this recently, a device that he sold to people with an electric violet ray in it that he
Wow.
marketed as something that could heal anything. So Tesla was out there selling violet ray energy when the pranic healers were also doing that. And that information is based on ancient texts from thousands of years ago. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting, it's just open your
Well,
mind and give
a
it a
hundred
try because
percent. And if you
what's the
don't,
worst that can happen?
yeah. And if you might relax too hard.
Yeah,
Um, and if
you might
you
take a really deep nap on my table.
yeah, exactly. If you think about it, there is just there isn't that much money that goes into researching things. And also it's hard to quantify the person as an instrument, people as instruments, and because that's hard for science to measure, they don't have the tools to kind of measure it in a way that they can create real data from it. Or maybe they do and they just don't tell us because it's something that is not profitable. It's not profitable for people to
Right.
know how to like help themselves.
Right.
But there's
Yeah, I
so
mean,
many reasons.
um, subtle energy cannot yet be measured with scientific instruments, but its effects can be measured. And
Yes.
I think that you are right on the money when you say, like, I think that it's like big pharma, that it's like there's no money in it for them. How will they make their billions if they know that you can just like go to an energy healer and get
Well,
cured of whatever it is?
it's 100%, and it's so blatant because most medical doctors don't even have to have a nutritional degree. They don't need to know jack shit about nutrition, even about the effects of food and breathing and water for their patients, which are the most basic of
Hmm.
things to be thinking about when you think about a human being and what their daily habits are. And it's so they really aren't invested. And I'm not, I think that sometimes Western medicine can be very good at diagnosing chronic illness and things,
Yeah.
and treating things. But yeah, to get to the root issue of what's really going on, I think you need to also include, well, of course you have to include it, is the spiritual side of things, the energetic side, and it's a new world though. I am hopeful because I think more people than ever, I mean definitely more people today than 10 years ago, like when we were starting out, there's a lot more people that are tuning in and curious about things, but there's also a lot of misinformation, and there are a lot of practitioners who do no fucking research. And this is a point of contention for me right now. I'm probably going to sound a bit venty because as an astrologer, like I often see big following people giving inaccurate information. And I'm like, that's not fucking accurate. Like,
Yeah.
do you, do your own research or do you pull it off of the internet, And
Yeah.
you have to study. And I think the same is with energy healing. Like, you have to be a good practitioner, you can't just be winging it. You need to be someone who studies and researches and learns and kind of puts yourself through that ringer sometimes of accountability. And that is
I
why
agree.
Megan's such a good practitioner.
Well, and also like most training programs contain an ethics piece, which is
Yes.
really so important for this type of work. Oh my gosh. I think that
Yes.
that's like the reason that energy healers get a bad rap sometimes is because they don't have that ethical code.
Yes.
So that's, without getting too deep into that conversation, that I think is a huge piece of it. And I also
Absolutely.
want to um, just to clarify, I don't want to vilify Western medicine. Western
Yes.
medicine was created for emergency situations. Like if I lose a
Absolutely.
limb, I'm not going to go to my energy healer. I'm going to go to my
Yes.
ER. Like it has its place, and the best way sometimes to use energy healing is like in cooperation with Western medicine. If you're going through cancer treatments, for example, I have a ton of cancer clients, and they're not giving up their treatment plan with their regular doctor. They're just doing
Absolutely.
this as a way to support that process and to give them the best chance to recover from all of those like really serious interventions
Yes.
that they're doing. So
That's
I
an
wanted
important
to say that.
clarification. Absolutely. Yeah, because it's not either or, is it? It's like working with things, working with everything in how it excels, or for the reasons why it works best, and I think that's a major issue, I think, in some of the very fringe wellness spaces where it is oversold. It's oversold sometimes of into the illusion zone of what's possible. And the truth is that there are like, we have to be kind of like paying attention to pull from everything that might be beneficial to us into what we're dealing with. What do you think? Like, what is your main go-to sort of practice that you would recommend to people to be using like on a daily basis? Like, what's one thing that the listener can take away for themselves today?
Yes, I'm so happy you asked me that. This is my favorite thing to nerd out on. So, I think all of your listeners probably understand having a grounding practice. They probably understand the benefits of putting your bare feet on the ground. You pull in that beautiful yin energy of the earth that's calming and soothing for our nervous systems, and it can really revitalize our energies. So, for the most part, we know that.
And that's
What,
scientific.
and that's science.
That is science because it has to do
Well,
with the ions in the body that
yes,
actually realign with the earth. And that's why it does work. And it's not just the woo-woo that we're talking about.
yes. So I'm gonna take that to the next level and talk about
Yes.
polarity
Yeah.
because that's the piece that some people are missing, I think. So it's my favorite thing to inform people about. So we're like magnets. We have a North Pole and a South Pole, right? North Pole being at our head, South Pole being soles of our feet. And ideally, those poles line up with the polarity of the Earth. And that's how, when we put our feet on the ground, we're able to literally magnetize to the Earth,
Yeah.
right? Because the South Pole of our feet matches the North Pole of the Earth, and we pull in that energy that way. But sometimes what happens, usually a result of stress or trauma, like everything that disrupts our energy,
Like reading
our
the
poles,
news.
exactly.
Yeah.
So our poles can get reversed. So then when you put your feet on the ground, what happens is you're repelling, you're not magnetizing. So a really, really simple practice to reset our polarity is to go into your kitchen and grab a spoon. Um, so the it has to be a stainless steel spoon. It's really important because it's the amalgamation of metals in stainless steel that has this effect. It literally impacts those electrons on the surface of the earth. So when you rub the back of the spoon on the soles of your feet, you're sort of, it's the wrong word, but I like to say that you're tricking your feet into being grounded and you're resetting the polarity of your feet, which resets the polarity of your whole body and reconnects you to the earth.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you're, it's hard for you to get grounded or to stay grounded, this might be the missing piece. You might just have these points on the soles of your feet that are stuck or their polarity is reversed. And so rubbing this on them is going to help. And you really can't overdo this. It's a totally safe thing to do. So I recommend having a special foot spoon. Mine is just designated with a hairband so that I don't try
So
to
you
eat off
know.
of it. But just having one around your house so that you can do it whenever you think about it. It's so, so good for your energy as a whole because all the other work that you do, whether you're meditating or you're doing other energy healing practices, like without proper polarity, those things are going to have a hard time sticking.
Yeah.
So, spooning the feet is like my number one thing to share with people.
Yeah, and it's such a simple way to just anchor yourself like physically, but also mentally and to get really present. You can sit um on the floor, sort of cross-legged, not, butterfly spread knees probably.
Yeah.
And then, you know, spoon your feet, but also there's these points in the middle of your feet that once you've spooned them, if you just kind of hold, let me see, if you hold the middle of your foot like like this.
Do you want me to get my fake foot out? I
Do you
have a
have a
fake
fake
foot
foot?
because can you imagine if I tried to put my foot up in front of the screen right now? I would fall off my chair. So I have these fake feet.
Oh my God. I wish you said that that was actually your foot. I wish that
Yes, I have
I wish
feet
that it
that are
just
like
came into
bigger than my
camera.
head. I
Oh,
don't know why they're so big, but
oh my
yes.
gosh.
So the point you're talking about is right here. It's like
Yeah.
if you were to scrunch your toes, then you would create a hollow there. That's
Yeah.
kidney one in acupuncture. It's where we
Yeah.
draw in that earth energy. Yeah,
So if you kind of hold both your feet while you're sitting there and take some deep breaths after you've spooned them, it's just an incredible like surge of grounding up through the body. And if you also want to add a little zhuzh to it in your mind, you can picture yourself like in your favorite natural place or a place of calm or a place of beauty and do the whole shebang. And you can
right.
do that
Yeah.
all in like 2 minutes.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be for long, you know,
Yeah.
if you have 30 seconds per foot, it's great. It's
Yeah.
great. You're going to do so much good for your energy.
Yeah, I love that. And that's just like a really good practice for someone who's just straight up brand new to any kind of energy work, to play around with. And also, like, you can't really go wrong if you're giving yourself attention and good, loving energy. Just the act of sitting and getting present and trying is also beneficial. So, no stress of like, am I doing this right? Is this the right way? Is there a way that I could fuck this up? I think actually just giving yourself that time to be present and nourishing to yourself, that's as important as anything.
That's
um
right. Back to the perfectionism piece. Just don't even worry about it. There's no way to mess it up as long as your intention is there.
yeah,
Your energy will follow that.
yeah, if you're in Seattle, Megan has some community clinics, but you can work with her, you can also work with her there in Seattle, or you can work with her remotely. And she has some courses that she teaches for Eden Energy over the year. And if I'm going to link her info and her website in the show notes so you can kind of sign up for a newsletter and get updated on anything that's coming up for that. Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Beckers.
Is there anything else you wanted to say or mention or bring up?
No, just I think it was a great way to wrap it up by going back to this piece about, just don't overthink it. Don't think that you have to spend an hour a day on this. Anytime you can spend a few seconds with your energy and just get present to your needs is going to be so good for you. So,
Yeah,
and if you need help, hire an energy practitioner. We're all over
exactly.
the place, and we
Yes.
and we want to help you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. And to everybody listening, again, you can read in the show notes more about Megan and her practice, along with me and mine. If you thought this was a helpful episode, please share it with a friend, and or in, on your socials or whatever. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.